everyone! Thanks for tuning in again. Me and Molly today are going to talk about Scorpio season, and this Scorpio season is super special in not a great way because because Mercury is in retrograde as well. So we'll tell you all about what that means and how it's going to affect us. Molly's going to start by explaining Mercury in retrograde.
Okay, let's talk about Mercury. So each planet is said to give off a certain energy, and Mercury is the planet that rules the mind, communication, and logic and intelligence. So it's ruled by two signs, which are Gemini and Virgo. Gemini represents the airy and adaptable side, and Virgo represents the need for constant activity and critical scrutinization. So I'm just going to be referencing my notes, so that's why I'm looking down. They're both highly intellectual signs, so they're both known for the way that they absorb and share information. So that's why they work really well with Mercury, which is the planet of communication, logic, and intelligence. And it's not just like intelligence, like basic intelligence. It's like your intelligence in any type of field that you're in, or something that you're intelligent in. So while Mercury is logical, reasonable, and rational, its nature is to be fleety and flighty. So that's kind of that Virgo and Gemini team. So the actual way that the word retrograde means to go backwards. Like, that's what retrograde means. But the way that the planets move in our solar system, it doesn't happen. It doesn't go backwards. Like, a planet doesn't stop or go backwards. It can't. It's a planet stop. It's just not a thing.
Yeah.
But because if you look at a picture of our solar system, the way that it rotates, it's not in perfect circles. Mm-hmm. So I have a little bit of a history here of why we call it a retrograde. Mm-hmm. So back in the day with early astrologers, we thought that everything revolved around us. Shocker that we would think that. And then this guy, Nicholas Copernicus, shows up and is like, nah, that's just not how it is. But before that, they basically could see the planets with telescopes and whatnot. Mercury is most visible during sunrise. So that's kind of when you can see it. And to them, it looked like Mercury was stopping and kind of circling back, and then continuing on its orbit. So that's how it looked. But then when Copernicus showed up and kind of shifted our view that we revolve around the sun, it changed everything a little bit more oval. So the oval is smaller on one side. So when we hit that side, it's an optical illusion that makes Mercury look like it's going backwards, but really we're on the same pattern. So it was really wildly practiced for a long time that Mercury was going backwards, and that influenced people in weird ways. Like, that was just ingrained in our society. I don't know, it's like a massive placebo effect almost.
Right.
Because I am not here to downplay the seriousness of Mercury retrograde. Because things get whacked out. People get really weird. It's just weird. It happens 3 to 4 times a year. So the idea is that once Mercury begins its retrograde, communication just stops, more or less, because it's going backwards. It's stopping. So there might be technological issues. There definitely will be delays. And the other thing that Mercury brings up is a bunch of shit that you might have thought you were over, but for some reason has just been reignited in your soul. So a lot of the time, like, if you kept a journal maybe, and you maybe referenced back, you might start to actually see patterns in things that keep coming up. So then you can kind of go, am I actually mad about this, or am I just rethinking about something because of weird planet energy? Who knows?
Mercury's coming back around. It's like, oh, remember that ex? Remember that person you hate?
Remember that thing that happened that you weren't really mad about at the time, but now you kind don't know.
Now you are for some reason. Weird.
So it's just not, maybe just drop it. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe rethink things.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that if you start a project in Mercury retrograde, there's a chance that it'll completely fail or just be fully altered from like your original vision because you're not making that connection the same. And there's just a lot of brain fog and a lot of miscommunications that happen around Mercury retrograde. This Mercury retrograde period is from October 31st to November 20th. And then there's also a shadow period 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after that, that kind of like, you can still see stuff happening. So it also falls into Scorpio season, but it also falls into Sagittarius season at the end a little bit. So it means extra fire and like really fun energy to go with a lack of communication and a lack of detailed thinking. So it's a really interesting kind of like...
When you said fire, I just have a quick question. When you said fire, did you mean a wave of water? Because Scorpio's a water sign, so I just want to bring things together.
It's more, okay, sorry, I should clarify. It's more like a tsunami.
More like a tsunami of energy.
Yeah, and it's like really, really high energy because that's like Scorpio. They're a little bit not detail oriented. They are all big picture, over blowing things up, stuff like that. So yeah, I try not to get too swept up in all of it, just because it can be a little bit unhealthy.
Yeah.
But sure. I do think that being aware of it, you can kind of start seeing it. Like you see that people are acting a little bit weird and stuff. Like I've definitely seen some things. So I'm a firm believer in energies finding a way. So I think that this has been a thing for a long enough time. There's enough people who do fully believe in it. Lots of people think that Mercury stops as a planet, and if you're one of those people,
it's not how science works.
It's not how science works, but you just be a believer for yourself. You just believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that chaotic energy is just being put out there, and it kind of can find a way into yourself. Yeah. So my tips and tricks for embracing this Mercury retrograde Scorpio season is to embrace the chaos.
Okay.
Because that's kind of how you got to roll with things to when they're kind of, if the world is set on being chaotic, you just got to roll with it. Yeah. Roll with the punches, let things fall off you, and don't like hold on to anything crazy. The other things I would recommend are to just like confirm things with people, like double check with them. Recheck your important dates, call ahead to make sure things are like still planned. Yeah. Because people are going to be not thinking. So that's pretty much all I got for Mercury retrograde. Okay, so now I'm going to kick it over to Kayla, who's going to tell you all about Scorpio season.
All right, so I'm going to first talk about Scorpios as a whole, and then kind of lead that into how Scorpio season affects us, because that really goes into the understanding of like how you get it, like how it happens. So first of all, Scorpio season is from October. Is a water sign. And water signs are very emotional. Okay. So that's kind of like the rule of water signs. Like another water sign is Cancer. Cancers are also extremely emotional. Those are the two that I think. If you think of someone that's emotional, you probably think Cancer, Scorpio. I honestly can't remember what the other one is. Pisces, probably? Pisces is a fish, right?
That would make sense.
Yeah. I also read something once that was saying that water signs can kind of like calm down fire signs. So if you're a fire sign and you have like a Scorpio or like a water sign as a friend, and you get like upset, like the water sign can like bring you down, like back down to level.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Let me tell you, it doesn't work the other way around. Yeah. So if you other things about Scorpios, the stone is topaz. And then we are ruled by the planets Pluto and Mars. Even though in one of our videos, Molly told me that Pluto wasn't a planet, and I told her to fuck off, so.
Just like a Scorpio.
Just like a Scorpio. Fucking typical. Scorpio.
Which is hilarious because they're basically two extremes of hot and cold.
Yeah. You know, I hadn't considered that, but now that you say that, that's really interesting. Okay, so some personality traits of Scorpio. Scorpios are extremely loyal, and they will like base everything on loyalty. If you have a Scorpio friend, they're gonna be like have your back all the time, and if you don't have your Scorpio friends back, they'll be pissed, and it won't even like. Here's the thing about Scorpios is when Scorpios get mad, they get like really mad. They're the kind of people. They're the kind of people that you might think like, oh, this person's like all calm and cute and whatever. But if you piss them off, like, they'll fucking get you with that tail. Yeah. Yeah. Stab you right in the back. What I'll do is, like, I'll have a friend and I'll be like, oh, like, I really like this person. It's a really good friend, blah, blah, whatever. Sometimes I can, like, feel them lying to me.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you're lying to me. That's interesting. I'm gonna fucking remember that. And it could be like, it'll be about something that's super not important. Like sometimes people will not tell me whole truths or whatever, or like, you know, there could be a good reason why they're not telling me something, like a legitimately good reason. And I could logically think, yeah, okay, that's a legitimately good reason. But my emotional side is just like, that bitch is a liar.
You crossed me.
Yeah, like,
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'm very like, it's not something that I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna like cut you out for. But I'll definitely like think about it, and if you keep doing it.
Like if you notice a pattern.
Yeah, like if it keeps happening, like I'll remember. Like, I'm not gonna just forget this one instance where you, like, didn't tell me any, like, one thing. I'm gonna remember. Yeah, and it's gonna stay in the back of my head through our whole friendship until I, like, either get over it or you do it just enough for me to say, okay, I'm done.
No, that's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, so that's the thing about loyalty. So, like, be careful. Like, Scorpios can be your best friend or your worst enemy based on that. The second personality trait I have about Scorpios is that they're super jealous. And so this is why in relationships, it can be super, super, like, with Scorpios, it can be, like, really, like, up and down. Because Scorpios they're jealous, so that's, like, the down is, like, we'll get real jealous. But then, like, the ups are that Scorpios are very, they're very passionate, and they're also considered, like, the sex sign. So they can be very, like, very intense, very loyal. So when you're in a relationship with a Scorpio, it's going to be, like, a whole roller coaster. Like, 1 minute you're probably like, oh, my Scorpio girlfriend is so cool. And then the next minute you're probably like, oh, this bitch is crazy.
Oh no.
It is true. Like, Scorpios, they're crazy.
Quick on that. Yeah. Speaking of Scorpios being mysterious, I would argue that a lot of people who probably know Kayla don't know much about her. Because she definitely comes off as, like, really shy and stuff. Once you get to know her, you're like, oh, you're not shy. Like, it's, like, really, you give off, like, definitely different vibes than what you actually are. So I definitely agree that you have that mysterious quality.
Yeah, totally. And, like, that's kind of the thing is they'll be very mysterious. They will be very quiet, I think. Like, they tend to, even if they're not quiet in, like, nature, like, with a friend with them, if you're in, like, a group of Scorpios, they're probably more in the back, just, like, watching.
Yeah, they're not quiet because they're shy. They're quiet because they're strategic.
Yeah, I think that's it.
It's a... That's all I'm gonna say.
That's all it is. Yeah, because they'll be very like, yeah, they're just like watching, seeing what's going on, like seeing who everyone is, and I think that's why they sometimes like Scorpios aren't like the most like popular one, definitely, but they're the kind of person who's gonna be like, oh, like this person is gonna. So, the other two things to know about Scorpios is they're super stubborn and they're super ruthless. Talked about the ruthlessness a little bit, I think, but yeah, essentially Scorpios are very ruthless.
I like how you just kind of laugh to yourself. Yeah.
Yes, they're very like with Scorpios, I guess it's kind of like you won't see it coming, right? Because I think the other thing that Scorpios do is we kind of like don't tell you what we're thinking. You know what I mean? We also do this thing that we like test people secretly. We don't tell people that we're testing them, but we'll test you.
Okay.
So if you do something and we're like, oh, I didn't like that, right? We'll like be like, okay, well, let me like set them up for this test, right?
Okay.
It'll happen, and if you fail the test, that's it.
You're done.
And then suddenly your Scorpio friend or partner or whatever will suddenly just like lose it on you, and you will not see it coming. Like you won't realize. It'll just suddenly like happen, and they're just like full force, and they go like
rude.
Yeah, and they go in with like the ruthlessness. It's like full there. Like it's not half. It's not like we don't hold back. We're not like, oh, you know, like this upset me, so I'm a little bit mad. It's like, no, you upset me, and I have counted every single time that you have upset me before, and now I'm pissed, and now I'm gonna lose it on you.
Yeah.
Like they will like fuck you up
with their venom.
Yeah. So, yeah, that kind of talks into, like, the ruthlessness and the intensity about Scorpios.
Definitely.
I kind of want to talk about, like, a couple, like, Scorpio stories I have.
Yeah. Okay.
So one thing was, one of my sister's friends, I was talking to her, and she was getting really into astrology, and I told her that I was a Scorpio, and she said to me that Scorpios will do this thing where we'll have like a list of people that we hate, our hate list, and every once in a while, just casual, our hate list, we just have them. Every once in a while, we will go through them and think like, do I still hate this person? And they always do.
Am I over this? Nope.
And it was so funny because when she said this to me, right? Initially she said it to me, and I was like, you know, I don't think I do that. And then in the like coming weeks, I kept catching myself doing it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Like it was hilarious. Like sometimes I'll just like be casually like live my life, and all of a sudden I'll think, hey, what happened to this person? Am I still mad at them? Like, they were a good friend. Like, maybe I'll talk to them again or whatever. And then I'll think, no, they did this thing and they're dead to me. It is essentially going to make all of us feel these Scorpio traits. So the main thing is we're going to all be very intense and super emotional. You're probably going to find that you might get in some arguments.
Feel like stubborn.
Yeah, just feel super stubborn.
Unwilling to compromise.
Unwilling to compromise. You're gonna feel like really in depth about things. I think the other thing, so the one other thing I wanted to note is I think that like Libra season is kind of like the season of like starting new projects. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of.
And like I feel like it was very like working on yourself and like what you can do to like better yourself. At least like I kind of felt that a little
like
bit.
introspective.
Yeah, introspective and being like, oh, like what can I do to like build myself up?
Can I do to balance my life?
Yeah. And
Scales.
Scales. Get it?
We're
If
there.
you don't know what the Libra symbol is, we'll add a picture. So Libra season is kind of like that. I feel like Scorpio season, it kind of like leads into Scorpio season because I feel like Scorpio season is really like cutting out the fat, if that makes sense. So when you're in Libra season, you're like, okay, like I'm gonna improve myself and like get myself going and whatever, like what do I want to do, stuff like that. And then you get into Scorpio season and then you're very like now you're in the ruthless mode where you're like, okay, what's holding me back? What do I need to get rid of? Who is who's
getting today?
So you start to really like I think stop things that you feel like are not working for you. And just like cutting shit out. You're not really working on improving yourself anymore. It's just like, oh, this is what's holding me back, gone. This is holding me back, gone. Like I'm not dealing with it anymore. You're just not taking bullshit, basically. You're not taking that shit lying down.
Accurate.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing is it really does, I feel like this is why, like, Scorpio season or Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio season is something that people really tell you to watch out for, is because of, like, all the things
because you're not thinking. You're not thinking anymore. So you're just like, bye, and then at the end of the season, you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I should have settled on that a little bit, but it could be a lot of good things, right? Like, I think something that like is talked about a lot is how this Mercury retrograde Scorpio season is like the season of death and rebirth.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily a bad thing because you're kind of, like Kayla said, trimming off the fat. So you're probably doing some over trimming. Like that is a thing that can definitely happen when you're making those like really quick, really snap judgments, when you're feeling a little bit more ruthless, when you're, you know, kind of feeling your Scorpio energy kind of up on your shit, you know what I'm saying? Like you're like, my moves are confident.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I need to put something there now. Like for some stuff, if you kind of over trimmed or whatever. So it's about rebirth and finding some new things.
Yeah, I feel like it's very, like, this is something I kept thinking about when I was, like, looking into this kind of stuff, is I was thinking about, like, the death tarot card.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that a lot of people get scared of, like, the death tarot card because they think it means, like, literal death. But in reality, it means more of, like, rebirth. It's like...
Or letting go.
Yeah, or letting go. Yeah,
letting
exactly
something die.
Yeah, like taking something and being like, oh, okay, this isn't good for me anymore. Like, if I, like, let this go and it's like starting a new chapter.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that really plays into the whole, like, Mercury in retrograde. And Scorpio season is really, like, I feel like it's the symbol of this Scorpio season.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I say play into the chaos.
Yeah.
Because there is that Scorpio energy out there, so maybe your moves aren't all the way thought through, but damn, they are confident. So, like, just go for it. Do your thing. And don't let other people's negative energy come into your energy bubble. Just let it go.
Yeah, because you know what? Because it is such an emotional season, if somebody comes at you with a lot of, like, their negative energy, you probably just don't want to deal with it, which is, again, very typical Scorpio. Don't deal with it. Just be like...
Not the time.
Dude, it's not the time. Try not to, like... Probably try not to, like, cut that person out.
Not just yet.
Don't cut them out, because that's just your Scorpio-ness coming at you, or the Scorpio season coming at you.
Exactly.
With that energy. But maybe just be like, okay, I just don't have the energy to deal with this right now, and we can, like, talk about this later. Like, we can bring this back at a later time.
Yeah. Definitely take some time for yourself.
Yeah.
Try, maybe you want to get into some yoga and some meditation. So you can kind of align your thoughts or try to reground and like restore your energies and things like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely the time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like learn those kind of calming habits and hobbies. Play into those. Christmas is coming up. You want to do some crafts? Do some crafts with us.
Or maybe Hanukkah's coming up.
Or maybe Hanukkah or whatever you might celebrate.
The holiday season is a coming.
Yeah. Just like, definitely take, because of all the energy, you're gonna need all of that time to ground, as Molly said, and bring it in. So drink your chamomile tea, light your candles. At the end of each day, if you feel overwhelmed, just bring it down. It's okay.
Yeah. Maybe go to Lush and buy your favorite bath bomb and have a bath. Because, speaking of grounding, the other thing I wanted to mention is the symbol for Mercury is actually the symbol for the alchemy symbol for the element Mercury.
Okay.
So it's like a circle with a T and then like horns going up.
Okay.
And the circle represents the brain, and then it's like being grounded while still being open to other thoughts and stuff. So I think we talk about Mercury in retrograde a lot, but it's actually like Mercury as a planet, like for what it does, it's actually like one of the most important planets because it's like based around communication.
Yeah.
So if you create your birth chart and you find out what sign was in Mercury during your birth, it can sometimes reveal more about how you think and absorb information.
Interesting.
To learn a little bit about this Mercury retrograde Scorpio season and how you can kind of attack it.
Yeah, how you can make it through to the other side, because it'll be a lot and it'll get you.
Keep your pincers sharp.
Keep your pincers real sharp. Thanks guys for coming and watching us. We might do more of these videos. If you like it, we'll see. So we might do another one for Sagittarius season, which is the next one. So keep an eye out. Let's see what happens.
Let's see.
Yeah.
You can find us across Twitter and Instagram at 2nerdistas. Feel free to follow us there and send us pictures of yourself and things that you made, and we're happy to connect.
Yeah. Thanks everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Perfect.